you can put it in the comments. So hopefully we'll get some folks joining me on here to get this started. And I did have a question. I posted that I would be coming on here to do this live Q&A yesterday, and I did have someone put a question in there about how to help her late talker use words at the park. And I could probably do a whole video about that, but what I guess I'll tell you about today to sort of get started. I see there's Laura and Bethany, and so some folks are joining on. If any of you are interested in joining me here on the broadcast, go ahead and put a comment that says, I have a question, and I can invite you to join me. You just have to turn your phone sideways, and I'll pop you on and we can talk about what your question is. But like I said, I'll get started until I have somebody let me know. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes for those questions to come through. But I did want to let you know, hi, Christina. Nice to see you. Christina, I met, she's not a parent. Well, I don't know, I think a parent, but not a parent of a late talker, someone I met in Peru last year. So great. Thanks for joining me and saying hi today. I love it when people join on and chat with me, which is why I decided to do a Q&A and invite folks on to ask me questions about language facilitation with your kiddos, because that's what I love to do. So like I said, I did get a question before. I'm just kind of waiting for stuff to scroll through, but I did get a question before yesterday from a mom who wanted to know about helping her child learn to use words at the park. Sorry, I just got distracted there for a second. So a great way, I mean, you can do language facilitation anywhere, and at the park is a great way to talk about what your kiddos are doing every day. So like when you go to the park, if there's certain things that you want to accomplish there, like if your child's working on learning how to use the equipment, if you're working on having your child stay with you, there's all different kinds of ways to facilitate language like that. For, a nonverbal child, you're going to want to really follow their lead and see where they're going, and then really do a lot of talking about the activities that they have going on. So as far as, getting your kiddos to start to use more language, then that's something that you can do, like I said, anywhere. And the best way to do that is to give your child a lot of words for the things they're doing, just while they're doing it. So if your child likes to swing, and, just talk them through that whole activity of how you're putting them in the swing and how high they want to push the swing, and sort of really try to encourage communication that way. I don't see anybody else. Anybody who has a question? Let's see. I don't see anybody else who is asking. So I guess what I can do is I do have another question. I usually have a question of the week planned, and people are often asking questions, and I see that there is one of my language facilitator moms on here already, and there's Joshua popped in. Let's see. Oh, Carolyn had a request. Let's see if I can add Carolyn. It might take a minute for her to pop on, or a few seconds. I'm just trying to figure out how this whole add a friend. So it says adding, so maybe Carolyn will join me on here.
Second, guys. Can.
I hear her. There she is. Okay. Hi.
I wasn't ready for this.
So
I kind of typed it in, but okay.
Okay, great. Well, talk really quick. So tell us what's going on with your little guy.
Oh, he's doing good. I was just wondering, I heard one of your lives. I think it was a live. One of the things I was listening to, and you were encouraging kids to talk, get kids to have confidence and talk when they're being shy. When they can speak, and they can speak, and their gut reaction is to hide behind you and not maybe interact, whether it's with another child or an adult, and that's okay, and not making excuses for them. Like, can you talk about that? I know that you're real good about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You have a lot of good insight there. So maybe some tips.
Yeah. So it's very, yeah. Okay. Well, it's really common for late talkers to be anxious about their talking and not want to talk with people outside of what I call their bubble. You
Right.
know, so usually there's in your own family or with friends, you know, that your kids are super confident about like that. That's when they're okay at talking and they'll try at doing things, and then they get super shy around new people.
Right.
So the way I like to sort of tell parents to work on that is to sort of expand your social circle bit by bit and help your child with some language to broaden that circle. So for example, right now he's good at talking with you when you're, you know, with your little family, but maybe not so much like when you go into the community. So take advantage of the times that you're in the community with him. Like if you go out to dinner or if you go like to get ice cream or something like that, and really encourage him to use his own words to ask for things in those other environments. Like, you know, if he's at the restaurant, encourage him to tell the waiter what he wants to eat, or encourage him to hand the money to the guy, or tell what kind of ice cream he wants. Those are kind of nice ways to help work on language facilitation of, you know, sort of social language while you're with him, and you know, give him the words for communicating with other people. Does he like to communicate with other kids?
Sometimes, you know, when he's comfortable.
Oh, your video's kind of cutting out. Your your video's kind of cutting out. Oh, so yeah, it's pretty hard to get you. What I think I'm going to try to do is, let's see. You know what? Yeah, oh, there. Can you hear me? Yeah, you're a little bit better. Yeah, your video's kind of cutting out. So what I think you were talking about was, you know, okay, sorry. Okay, I think so. Yeah, it usually takes a minute there. Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so okay. So like I said, it's okay. Let's, like I said, as far as kids who are shy and communicating with other kids. So the best way is to try to practice some social language with, so there's a couple ways, with your other child, because I know you have another little girl, and that you know, to try to work with them on some turn-taking communication together, and to also practice and role play to talking with little guys or animals or superheroes or whatever you play with those little guys. Sometimes that's a really nice way to practice social language when you're pretending. So you can pretend, you know, I've got one family in my program and they do a lot of pretending, the kids themselves, they play out these scenarios. You be the mom and I be the dad and you be the grandma, and so you could do that, like you be the friend and come to visit and I say, hi, I'm, you know, Marcy, what's your name? And just kind of encouraging play with some of that social language. So does that seem like something that you could try, Carolyn? Yeah, Carolyn's video is kind of sketchy. Yeah, did you catch that? I'm so sorry. It's just really hard to hear you. Yeah, yeah. So you think that those activities could give you something to try a little bit? Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I'm sorry, Carolyn, it's just really hard to understand you. Something's going on with your internet. So I'm going to pop you off, but if you need more clarification, write a comment and then I'll talk about it. And so I'm going to pop you off and me, that's a little hard. It's a little hard when people are not yeah. Let's see. There's Lori. Let me add Lori because Lori had met too. So and then I did have another question. So Laura put a question in. She can't come on because she's trying to get her kids to bed and she's listening at the same time. How can you help a child answer questions through language facilitation? Let's see. For example, what do you want to eat or do you want X? Okay, so Laura's question, I'm still waiting for Lori to join on. So, all right, so answering questions is kind of a tricky thing with late talkers because a lot of times parents use questions to ask children, this is a great question, Laura, to get kids to talk. It's real common for us as adults to use questions to engage other verbal adults in conversation. So you say, what are you doing? What do you have? You know, that kind of stuff. Or, you know, the kinds of questions she's like, what do you want to eat kind of thing? Or do you want X? So usually with parents, and I don't know exactly if your child, Laura, yet is using words, but one of my favorite strategies to help parents do to get kids to request, because these questions are in order to get them to request something. So what do you want to eat? You want them to tell you what you want to eat. Or do you want something? Trying to get a response from them. So actually those two questions, the what do you want is an open-ended question. And I do like open-ended questions for kids who are late talkers because the answer to an open-ended question is a word or phrase to ask for what you want. So, what do you want to eat? I want a cookie, please. Kind of thing. And then the other kinds of question is the yes/no question, a closed-ended question, like what or do you want? Like, do you want a cookie? And anytime you ask a do you want a question, your child is not understanding that that is a real question. Like they don't know that they have to answer that question. When you say, do you want something? It's kind of like an offering. You offer them something and see if they want to, choose from you. So the best way to get kids to learn how, in your case, to answer a question is to, instead of asking a question, you give them the answer. So, if you don't know what your child wants and you want them to tell you, and they don't have vocabulary for it, you have to have them show you what it is that they want, and then you give them the vocabulary for it. So what I tell parents to do, like if you can guess, or if you want your child to have a choice, you can use a choice and then hold up two things and ask that question, what do you want? So the choice is always a good way to sort of start that. And the trick, sort of the secret, if your child's not using words yet or you're not really sure what they want, is to use what I call a non-choice. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold up two options for your child. Your question's going to still be open-ended, like what do you want? but you're going to let them see those two things that you have to choose from. And if you make one of them something that they would choose and one of them something that they would not choose, that's why I call it a non-choice choice. So let's say your child is wanting a snack and they're pointing at the refrigerator. You pull two things out of the refrigerator, one thing that could be a viable snack and the other one that is like a jar of mustard. And you say, what do you want? And your child's going to obviously point to the thing that they want, you know, the snack choice that they might choose. And then you can facilitate language by saying, oh, you want cheese. Cheese, please, and give them the cheese. Now, that's not teaching them to answer the question, and I know that that's what you were looking for. But what I'm kind of trying to tell you is that most parents who are asking questions of late talkers are doing it as a way to prompt your child to ask you. And the way language facilitation works for that is to give your child the words they would use to ask you at the time that they're asking you non-verbally, and then just give them the item. Because you're modeling for them the language that they would use to ask. So there's that. All right, so let me see if it's not adding Lori. Let's see who wants to be on my program. Let's see, here's Megan. Let's see, Megan, if you can add. I'm going to send you an invite. Add you and see if you can come on. So Laura, I hope that answered your question. And then Megan did have a question here. That's right. She says, somebody says, oh, Carolyn says, sorry, my internet's been acting up. Yes, that was helpful also with adults, just helping them feel confident to smile, hi, or respond when someone says hello to them. Let's see, she wrote a little more. Talk about it ahead of times and practice my saying hello. Right. So yeah, anytime with those social things, like I was talking about with Carolyn before, anytime you can practice ahead that social communication that you are, that you're wanting to know. So yeah. And there's Megan. Hi, Megan. Thanks for joining me today. Nice to meet you. Megan is somebody that I don't know. So why don't you tell us about your late talker, Megan?
Well, he is 2.5.
Okay.
He's been in speech therapy for probably about a year now. He's doing a lot better. Still not, we're working now like on putting like 2 words together. So he's good with adults because, you know, like adults will kind of play along with him because he does a lot of babbling. Like he's not verbal. So he definitely but you just don't know what he's saying.
Right.
But so adults, I know like he feels like they'll kind of play along a little bit, but obviously kids, they won't. And I think he knows.
Yeah.
So when he goes up to kids at like a play place or, you know, a park or, you know, whatever, he just almost like he shuts down.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what Carolyn was talking about too, is, you know, when kids don't get very good confidence, you know, about saying things. And when they're talking, they might have, you know, your little guy could be doing a lot of sort of jumbled talking, like, I did your ball, I did the car, the yellow car, you know, kind of like that. And you're trying to put some things together. So what I usually recommend, again, is some practice with using really slow talking, but you might also want to practice some phrases that your son might use to engage other kids, like, hi, what's your name? Come play with me, you know, things like that. So you can try to put together a few little, since he's doing like 2 words and putting together phrases, and practice them by playing with little, you know, with little people and stuff. And then to give him the opportunity. I often talk about how, with late talking kids, when they first get started, it often sounds like this. Like you get some words and not others, and their confidence is really good with you because you're so excited he's saying words now and you understand and what's going on and you're getting, all excited about all that. But what ends up happening is that other people don't. And I tell parents that when kids are at like a single word or 1 to 2 words, about 50% of adults will work with them and engage them and try to understand what they're saying. And about 50% of adults will say, yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And do that smile and nod thing, which is not a good, not very good for late talkers who are hard to understand, because what that does is it kind of fools them into thinking that adult actually does understand them when they don't. And if they don't completely get their message, then the child sometimes thinks, oh, they don't want to give me what I want, or they don't want to engage in conversation with me because they're nodding and smiling, but obviously they don't understand what I'm saying. Like they're not getting me. So what I really try to encourage parents at this stage of the game with you is to really use slow talking and practice some of those social phrases. Hi, Miss So-and-so, that kind of thing, ahead of time as much as you can, so that in the moment, he's not feeling so intimidated by other kids. And then, do you have other kids of your own?
I do. He's younger.
Okay.
So it's kind of like he'll talk to him, but.
So, yeah. So when you do your speech, do you do speech practice at home? Like, do you have homework from your speech therapy or things like that? So do you include your older child in that speech therapy homework time at all?
But his brother's younger.
Oh, his brother's younger. So like a baby younger, or sorry, I didn't hear you.
He's only 1.
Oh, he's only 1. So do you have other kids around do you have play dates with friends or anything like that where you have the opportunity that you could facilitate some social play with your son and another child?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So even if you do it, you could do it if you go to the library and there's another child there. You know what I mean? Where if you had a little activity like a book or something like that, and you used some really slow talking with your son with that other child, then it might encourage your son to use a little bit more slow and what I call careful talking, because other kids don't understand the kind of talking your son's using. But if you can encourage him to try to use a little bit more, just try at it a little bit harder, then other kids might understand easier. So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
All right.
So thanks for joining me. Do you have any other questions?
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna definitely give that a try.
Okay, so great. Then I'll let you pop off. Let me see if I can get another mom on. Thanks for joining me, Megan.
Bye-bye.
Oops, and my phone turned around. Oh, my camera did. I must have hit the switch it around button. Oh dear, now you're looking at my house. What happened? Sorry, touched the wrong button. There I am again. So sorry about that. Technology. All right, let me see if there's any other moms who want to join. And there was Laura. So I don't see anybody who's asked to be on. But there's Tracy and stuff. So, all right. Oh, yeah. So Carolyn says, yeah, similar approach. Carolyn says so we've been talking about this social language. So again, if you can have the opportunity to facilitate language with your child, with a peer, a sibling, something like that, where you actually practice the words that you would say when you're at a restaurant, even if you do little, playtime with food and things like that, then that's going to be a way for you to practice that stuff ahead of time. It's always happier. It's always better to know ahead if you, if you're going to get started with something to try otherwise. I don't see any more questions on here, but I see this is some folks are watching. I like doing these little live Q&As. Hopefully this was beneficial for you. So today, most of the questions were about social language, and I know that there are a number of parents who have kids who are really anxious about their communication and communicating with other people. So that is just definitely something that you can work on at home with your kids by sort of pre-teaching them social skills. Another really great way to get your kids to have sort of better confidence about themselves is to take video of them while they're talking. So, if you have them sort of put on a show or sing or even talk about a book that they have. I have one of the kids in my language facilitation, in my Waves of Communication program, who does, he likes to make PowerPoint presentations and sort of present these PowerPoint presentations. He likes having the structure of the things that he created and then talking about them. So that's just another way to encourage kids to sort of build their confidence about talking in front of other people. And then I know Carolyn also has worked with her little guy. They are very active in their church, and they do a lot of, with their Sunday school, they do performances where the kids are up in front of, a lot of people. And the teachers at, Sunday school and preschools and stuff where kids are doing those kind of performances where they're talking to other kids, they often will coach them through. Of course, you practice the little performance that they're doing, but, they also practice walking up on the stage, and they like to have people in the audience to get them to be used to, presenting in front of other people. And so even those little presentations in front of your family are a good way to help your late talker practice talking and have other people, unfortunately kind of judge them because, anytime you do something or your child performs, you're always going to be clapping and giving them praise and telling them how great they did and how wonderful they are. And kids love to hear that, and that's why they like these performances. But they don't know that people are going to clap at the end. They don't know that people are going to be really excited about them, joining or sharing and, their kind of stuff. But if you practice little performances for your family, that's a good way for kids to build confidence about sort of public speaking or saying out the words or saying them out. So any time that you can practice those kinds of social activities at home. Now, if you don't have a sibling at home, kind of like I was talking with Megan, you can find kids at the park or at the library, in the children's section, or mom groups, church groups, Sunday school groups. See if any of those other parents will have you, you can exchange play dates with kids. I love that idea. And even if you have the other mom and other kid over, you can, structure out a little social play time with your kids instead of just sort of inviting the other mom over and letting the kids play by themselves together in the playroom with the toys while the moms chat. Actually structure out a little social play time where you are playing Play-Doh together or, raking leaves or playing in the yard now that it's fall or playing with the dog or, trying some art, finger painting, something like that. If you have a little structured activity for kids to kind of do together, then, you can do some language facilitation and facilitate that social language. And anytime a child has small successes, like the rehearsal for their little show or these little practice social play times, that helps them build confidence that they know they can use language during those moments. So that's a great way to sort of practice ahead of time if your child's not doing social. It's all about experiences to practice with language facilitation, and you're going to do it in all the circumstances that you are, everywhere you go. So, yep, having your child ask for their flavor of ice cream or order their food at the restaurant, or even if they're not ordering their food, having them just hand the money to the cashier. Just those kinds of interactions with you right there by their side help them understand that it is safe to have social communication, that you are there to help them when you need them, but you're actually facilitating them through it. So, all right, I don't see any more questions on for today, so I think I'm going to pop off of this live Q&A. I really like doing this and reaching out to parents and helping them out. If you want to know more about language facilitation and you are looking for this kind of guidance, what I do on my meetings that I do in my language facilitation Waves of Communication program, my parent coaching program, is this is what I do all the time, is parents get on twice a week with me and talk about what's going on with their kids, talking about what their struggles are, and I give them the kind of solutions like I just did today, coaching them through all the different kinds of things that happen. So there's Laura saying thanks, and Carolyn saying great idea. I'm so glad I was able to help you ladies. If you are watching this and you got some benefit from it, please hit the like button, and hopefully I'll be doing another live Q&A. I'm always on here live doing more language facilitation tips and tricks and ideas about it, and I'll be back with my next live coming up really soon. So thanks again for everybody for joining me today. Have a wonderful weekend ahead, and I hope you're able to get out, enjoy the fall weather, and do some language facilitation with your kiddos. And I'll talk to you on my next video. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh, by the way, I don't even know if I said my name. I'm Marcy Melzer, language facilitation, speech pathologist. I'm an intuitive speech pathologist, and I help parents teach their late talking children how to use the words they need to share their wisdom with the world in my Waves of Communication parent coaching program. Have a great weekend, everybody.